Hey guys, James here again, and today this is the second video that I've done for the British Shooting Show 2018. Now, the first video that you might have already seen was all the air guns. Today we're just going to focus pretty much on everything else. So some of you may have already seen this, but for me, it was my first show, so this is all new. New venue as well, and I have to say, I think it worked really well, very central, very easy to get to. Now for me, a lot of big names were there, a lot of the different brands that I wanted to see were there. So obviously you got Seiko, in a second you'll see Tikka as well. I'm looking at getting one of their rifles at the moment, so it's quite nice to kind of get hands on with Tikka. And then obviously Howell over there up on the Highland outdoor stand. So a lot of your big names that kind of everybody knows, which was good to see. Obviously a lot more niche stuff as well, but we'll go on to see those in a minute. Now, one thing I was quite keen to look at this year was scopes, and obviously I'm in the market for a new scope. Vortex and a couple others were on my list, so it was quite nice to actually be able to get up and get behind a lot of the scopes. And you know, you see them online, you see all the stats and things, but you never really quite know what's what. Now, obviously EOTech there as well. That was quite cool. Never actually really seen one of their scopes before. Seen the red dots, used the red dots, but never actually their scopes. And obviously, you know, a lot of the higher end stuff, Schmidt and Mender. Aimpoint were there. They had some really clear optics. That was quite something, to be fair. Value for money wise on their kit is good. You definitely get what you pay for though. Now, one of the strongest stands for scopes, I have to say, was Highland Outdoors. Now, they had the whole of the new SIG range, which again had some really nice scopes. They also had the Nicker Sterling range, which, to be completely honest, I always seem to overlook. Looking through them actually at the show, I was very impressed, and at the price point they're really not that bad, so I think that's definitely a brand that I want to do a bit more research on. And then obviously they had my favourite, as I'm sure you all know, is the Hawks, the Frontiers, Sidewinders, all the range were there, but not a huge amount has changed. A couple of other bits that I found quite interesting. Oceana Defence had this stand here. Now, there was the shotgun that you see there, the Crowl, but they also had a Ruger 1022 takedown that had been mag-pulled, and that was pretty cool. And yes, maybe I might have done a little bit of car shopping while we're away, but hard not to. Anyway, back to shotguns. They had some fine woodwork up here. Now, obviously I appreciate these are rifles as such. More big game, which I was surprised. There was a lot of big game stuff there this year. And then obviously stands like this, where if you want to spend like £7,000, £8,000, £9,000 on a rifle, a shotgun, whatever, this was the place to go. Now, I could have spent hours looking through these cabinets. Some of the woodwork, some of the guns were just absolutely incredible. But like I say, fine if you've got the money, but for normal people, I think it was more of a, oh, look at the shinies. I mean, this is a perfect example. And like I say, it was a really nice stand, and maybe in another life. But until then, I mean, just appreciate some of the craftsmanship that goes into some of these guns, really. So as well as these exquisite, there was also the obscene. I mean, you know, why would anybody not need a punt gun for their canoe? I mean, it's a common problem down here in Devon. You're canoeing along and you think, I really need a punt gun. But also there's some other exciting, peculiar things. I mean, there were 7-barreled rifles and there was all sorts. So that was kind of some of the more unusual bits of equipment. Now, there's a bit of a story behind this, but ATN didn't bother turning up on Friday, which was what it was, a little bit childish, but hey-ho. But when they did turn up, they had their new 4K. Now, as somebody that actually uses the X-Sight, I have to say there was a marked improvement. And one thing I really liked was the fact that it uses a normal tube now, so you can mount it with a much kind of wider selection of mounts, which will be better for pretty much everybody that doesn't use a 20mm rail. So I'm really looking forward to seeing a little bit more of that, and hopefully try and get my hands on one to test and to review. Now, one thing that I did think was a little bit overplayed this year was shotguns. Now, every other stand was shotguns, which was fair enough. There were some really quite incredible guns on display, but there wasn't really kind of much in the way of the practical scene. It's quite a big scene, it's growing. I was amazed not to see more of it, to be completely honest. But what I did notice at the Cheshire Guns stand were the F12s, the new Typhoon F12s, and I have to say, they looked incredible. I was amazed, to be honest, that they didn't cost more than they actually did, because I mean, just look at it, it looks incredible. So again, another gun that I wouldn't mind getting my hands on and just having a little bit of a test time with, really. with all of the current goings on, it was quite nice to see a very, very good turnout by what I would describe as the larger calibers. Now, Accuracy International is probably one of my dream guns. I'd love to own one, so it was quite nice to see them. But also, just down the way, you had the 50 Cal Club, which, you know, obviously are under a lot of threat at the moment. And it was really, really cool to see some of the stuff that they had. I mean, the Shaytech in the background there. I mean, you know, anybody that thinks we don't have fun guns in the UK, you need to go and check these guys out. They were very, very nice. They would take the time to talk to you, and they were really approachable. It was definitely one of the better stands. And also, actually, one of the highlights for me, I mean, the big guns were amazing. I mean, that Bullpup 50 was just phenomenal. I mean, it's a thing of dreams. But my favourite was the rifle that you hear. Now, this was a custom-built rifle. The guy was really lovely, and I have to say it's probably my favourite rifle of the show. But when you think the 50 cal have done it, you go just around the corner and this guy has rocked up with a 20mm. Now, they did have an FAQ sheet on the side. I think they were getting bored of just being asked the same questions over and over again. But it was enormous. It was absolutely ridiculous. But going from the absolutely huge back down to the smaller, the GSG range of pistols. Now, these were really popular. Obviously, pistol shooting still got a bit of a scene behind it as such. But it was quite nice just to have a look at them and just kind of see what they're about, because I'd never come across them before. And then moving across, I mean, this was something else. This is a collection of Winchesters, not only the underlevers, but also the revolvers and things. I would hate to imagine how much money was on this table. The collection was just something else. Now, for Western people, you're probably salivating over this. Not my thing personally, but I can appreciate the effort, the art, the time and the money that's gone into amassing this collection. Remington had this fine work of art. Again, I've got a soft spot for the Accuracy International, so it's no wonder I liked that. But just after we had a look at these guys, I went down to Custom Fit Guards and had my new earplugs moulded. Now, I've been putting off this for months and finally got it done. And literally, as I'm doing this now, they've just turned up yesterday. So I'll be doing a video on them as soon as I can. And hopefully just kind of, you know, show you a bit more about their products, because the company were really nice. Everybody there was lovely to talk to, and it's just been one of the slickest operations of date. So that was really quite cool. Now, obviously, there are the air guns. I have done a separate video for them, so if you want to see more from the air gun side of things, obviously feel free to check that video out. Now, there were a lot of new products. Daystate have got new rifles out. Brocock as well, that you'll see in a moment. I've got new rifles, but again, it was your staple favourites as well. Viroc were there with the 100s, the 110s, pretty much everything that they do. Air Arms as well, that was quite a nice stand. The guys on there were probably the most approachable people that I've come across, really. It was really quite refreshing to see. They were happy to take the time out and just have a chat. FX as well. Now, I won't go into this too much because you know I'm a little bit biased when it comes to FX, but the new Crown was launched at the shooting show as well. That will be coming very soon. But yeah, I'll do a better video on that as it comes. Now, BSA as well also actually had this new Defiant. Now, this is a bullpup. It's the first kind of attempt at the bullpups, and this one's going to be good. Eagle Vision again were there. It was really nice to actually catch up and meet Masood. Obviously, I've spoken to him many times on emails, but never actually met him. So he was there with his entire range and his Wildcat, which is tricked out with all of his gear. And then if you did want to try any of the guns, obviously you could just go down to the range, and pretty much all the companies were there. You know, you could try your Virocs, your Air Arms, the BSAs, and that was really popular all day. So obviously I couldn't cover everything. I am one man and one camera. It was my first show, so there's probably things I've missed out that I was just running around like a deer in the headlights. But hopefully you've enjoyed seeing some of my personal highlights. Now, we've already booked on our hotel to get up there for next year, so I will be at the shooting show again next year, all being well. I thought it was an incredibly well-run event, brilliant venue. You couldn't really ask for much more, maybe a bit more from the practical side of things. I thought that was lacking big time, but apart from that, not too much. So as always, if you've got any comments, any questions, anything you want to post below, feel free to put them in the boxes below. If you want to subscribe to us, feel free to subscribe or follow if you're watching us on Daily Motion. And obviously we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and all that good stuff. Now, one final thing. I don't know who these guys were. I don't know if they knew something that we didn't. But the guys wearing the Osprey vests. Yeah, you made my day. It made a lot of people chuckle. So thank you very much for that. But anyway, guys, until our next video, thanks for watching. And we will see you next time.